In anticipation of National Veterans Small Business Week, Lisa suggested that we do something special. Together, we created the Veterans Helping Veterans Business Anthology Group. It's been a great success. We networked, collaborated, conducted interviews, and wrote a book. During this journey, Lisa and I had the pleasure of meeting numerous entrepreneurs and business leaders with backgrounds in the military veteran and military spouse community. We carefully selected 20 contributors at various stages of their business endeavors, from ideation to well-established enterprises. We engaged in insightful conversations, the highlights of which are shared in our new book, We Are Stronger Together, Strength and Diversity. In addition to these interviews and our contributors' lessons learned, inside the book, Lisa and I also provided practical information and tons of resources to help others in their entrepreneurial pursuits. Remember to grab your copy of the book on Amazon to meet all the contributors, authors Lisa DeShorm and myself. Are you ready to get a glimpse of what it takes to be a veteran business owner? Take a listen. Welcome to Talk to Me. I'm your host, Brenda, the Soulutionist. I see things other people often miss. And today I am seeing Paul Mara. And Paul is an Army veteran that is joining me. He's another member of the Veterans Helping Veterans Business Anthology. I'm excited to have Paul on the show. And I want to read this because I want to get it right because this title was long. It says he is the owner of the Diverse Supplier Development Corporation. Hope I got that right. Paul, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you, Brenda. And you did get it right, and appreciate the opportunity.
You know, I'm excited to have you here today because you do so many things. And before we start, I want you to tell everybody what your company is and what you do.
Happy to do so. So Diverse Supplier Development Corp started about 8 years ago after a long career being a small business serial entrepreneur. And I pivoted to become a business consultant. I discovered that veteran businesses are a diverse business group, which gives us opportunities to work in the government sector, but also in the private sector with the Fortune 5000. And so as I discovered that the doors were just opening up for military veterans to do business in the private sector space as of about 2014, 2015, when I made my pivot to becoming a business consultant, I realized it was the single best opportunity for me to focus on as a veteran business guy than to help the 1.8 million veteran businesses to explore whether or not they can work with the major corporations based upon their product or service. So we exist to bring veteran businesses together with corporations for procurement opportunities.
And when you started that endeavor, is that something that was easy to accomplish?
Yes, it was. And the reason was I had already started, operated, funded, and sold about 15 other businesses prior to doing it. So I was well versed in how do you start a new company and what do you need to do. So it was easy because I had been doing that for 30 plus years.
And now that you've done this particular evolution of business management and creating this particular company, what has been your greatest hurdle?
Greatest hurdle actually is convincing more veterans who have businesses that there's this tremendous opportunity. We estimate it's about 90 plus billion a year for veterans we've never had, but you're a veteran, I'm a veteran, my dad was Air Force. We tend to be a cynical, skeptical group. So our biggest challenge is convincing veterans who are all working primarily in the government sector that there's a much larger opportunity with many more corporations spending a lot more money in the private sector. So that's our biggest challenge. There's this huge demand and we just don't have enough veterans to fill it. We've got enough that own businesses. It's just convincing them that there's a much better opportunity for them to consider working in the private sector.
So is it your contention that people should be working in tandem with government and private sector to get the most out of their businesses?
So the cool thing about being a business owner is you can do whatever you want, right? That's why we do it. We do not suggest that people completely get out of the government, especially if they were well ingrained in it. Then what we're suggesting is if you have a commercial product and service and you want to expand your business to a much bigger opportunity, this is what you should think about. And so when we work with companies that are in that position, we learn about what do you do, where do you do it, how do you do it, so that we can help them assess, yes, there's a definite need and interest in what you do in the private sector space. let's start exploring it by reaching out to a number of companies over a period of time. Just kind of dip your toe in the water to see if there's interest on that space so you can explore it, prove the concept. So we're not saying just throw everything away and jump in this, but we work with them to kind of phase in and determine if it's the right fit.
Now, I know if you work with the government, there's a system that you're required to join and be a part of in order to get a government contract. Is there a system when coming into your company that a veteran would have to apply for in order to get those kind of contracts?
Yes. So in the government sector, as a veteran, you have to be certified as legitimately owned, operating, and controlled by a veteran. It used to be done by the VA through what was called their CVE program. Early this year, that was transitioned to the SBA, and now it's called VetCert. Okay. So there's a certification so that the government knows you're legitimate. And there's been a lot of fraud in this space. There is an equivalent certification required in the private sector side, and that's through a nonprofit that was launched in Detroit in 2014. It's called the National Veteran Business Development Council. See my shirt. I've been working for that group for over 6 years, doing corporate outreach to educate more corporations about veterans as great suppliers, about the fact that veterans now have a certification that corporations have required for decades, and get them to open their doors to vets. So in the private sector, we call it the hunting or fishing license that allows you to show up at the supplier diversity door of corporate America. So yes, there is that requirement. That allows those corporations to count their spend to the government.
Now that's, I love hearing about what you're doing in your business, but let's switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the challenges of being a veteran business owner, even trying to get other veteran business owners to come on board with what you're doing now. You indicated that we're a skeptical group, which we are. Me, I'm like, if it sounds too good to be true, I'm like going, I'm giving you the side eye. So when you encounter that, what has been your company's position to help people be less skeptical?
So we found what we think is the single best way to overcome that reluctance, that corporations aren't serious. It's lip service. That's what I was hearing. So about 5 years ago, working in this space and working with corporations for our nonprofit, I started asking those corporations to help me overcome that reluctance. So I said, the single best way that you can help me convince veterans you're serious about working with them is shoot us an email. Let us know if you have a procurement opportunity for which you want our help for free, finding veteran suppliers. So we call those downstream opportunities. Since we started offering that to corporations, we've worked on over 1,040 different procurement opportunities with more than 70 corporations. So I'll share some quick examples. A couple of years ago, Boeing came to me looking for veterans to work on the International Space Station. Abbott Labs came to us with a $10 million a year foreign air freight. I'm currently working on 5 opportunities for Disney. In California, general contractors, subcontractors, and design firms. In Florida, they're looking for sewer and grease trap cleaning and maintenance, photography supplies, and hardware. I'm doing a national outreach for Ernst & Young for veterans who own hospitality spaces, bars, restaurants, breweries. So again, we worked on over 1,040 of those. Now, what that's allowed us to do is build a strong relationship with these corporations, but it allows us to take each of those opportunities, reach out to thousands of veteran businesses who are doing what the corporations want and introducing them to the opportunity, introducing them to the fact that Disney's looking for them. And if they're a fit, we're able to place them with the right person at Disney who will review and determine if they're a fit and get them involved in an RFP. So that has become the single best way for us to show veterans that corporations are serious and give them a real here and now opportunity. And if that doesn't convince them to do the pivot, I can't think of anything better that I could do.
Absolutely not. You mentioned RFP. What is that?
Request for a proposal. RFIs, or requests for information. Those are typically what corporations and governments send when they have an opportunity and they want to put the word out so that people know what they're trying to procure and they can determine if they want to apply or not.
We always want to make sure for the listening viewer, if they hear something, we want to give a definition and tell them, I'm all about definitions. Most people
Very good, Brenda. That's the old jargon that we fall into. With
all of these moving parts, how has your military background helped you do what you do?
Well, not surprisingly, we're vets. Military service really gives us many traits. that make us great business owners. Share quick stats. The SBA, Small Business Administration, says veterans are 45% more likely to own and operate a business than the general public. The 2020 census, veterans are the only demographic that we own more businesses than we're employed by. So it's things like loyalty, work with teams, find a way, make a way, all those traits that make us great business owner, which is what we use with the corporations to say veterans of the 5 categories of diversity: women, minority, LGBTQ+, veteran, disabled. Veteran status is the only one that makes us a great business owner, which, bottom line, corporations need a great supplier to do what they want. So we can leverage our diverse status as making us great business owners because of military service. And corporations realize that. They want to bring veterans on. The last data point is franchises. That is the only demographic franchise give discounts to is veterans, because they know veterans are great with systems and processes.
Yeah, our overcome and adapt attitude makes us great business owners, because we can definitely pivot and make do with whatever we have to do to get it done. Tell me, with all of this that you're done, being a serial entrepreneur, a serial business owner in general that has sold and bought companies, how important has mentorship in your pursuit to do what you do been for you? And have you been a mentor?
Yes, both mentee and mentor. I think that's super important. Most people go into business should be great at whatever their product and service is. However, if you've never operated business before, it is foreign territory. I'll share this example for all the military folks. We're working with 2 veterans that have been in the Navy together more than 65 years. The one veteran was an E8, moved over to the officer, retired as an 06 with 41 years of service. They started a business. And we wanted to say, you may have been an 06 in the Navy, but you're an E1 in business, because you've never been in business. You don't know all the things you don't know, taxes and accounting and hiring and managing people and sales and marketing. And that tends to be the single worst area for most small businesses, is they've never been in sales marketing role. Now you have to, and many do a very poor job because they haven't done it before. So there's so many things you need to know to succeed in business that you don't have any experience in. I worked with a woman-owned business several years ago, 35 years in business. Once she got a mentor and we worked with her, she said, I didn't even know what I didn't know, and I've been in business 35 years. It is a very hard thing to do. You'll work harder for yourself than anybody else, and you'll have to do things you never knew. And most of them you're not very good at. So if you don't have a mentor to help you identify those blind spots, if you don't bring on the right people who have the skills, don't do bookkeeping yourself. You probably hate it. You'll probably do a bad job, and you'll probably waste more time than paying somebody to do it when you could focus that time on bringing on new business or running your business. So mentor is super important, just to fill all the gaps that you don't have, all the things you don't know when you start a business.
Now, as far as being a mentor, how has that helped you do what you do?
So it allows me to scratch my entrepreneurial itch, because I get to live vicariously through all of our clients and their business. And I get to help them think about their business. And then it's that feel-good factor. The reason I made the pivot from owning a business to being a consultant is I understood after 30 some years how hard it was, what it takes to succeed, but also how devastating it can be when it fails. So my why is I'm trying to help business owners avoid that long-term high failure rate, like 75% long-term. And that was before COVID, is to really help understand what it takes and be that mentor to help them do that. That's why we do what we do. We want to help small business, especially after COVID, when 2/3 of businesses have been negatively impacted. We see the private sector space as a way of saving a lot of those businesses by getting them to pivot to a much larger audience for their services, and help save small business, which is 75% of our economy. Super important to keep small businesses alive. We drive the economy.
Now, could you tease out for me? I heard you say about that's why you moved to being a consultant. And correct me if I'm wrong, even if you're a consultant, that can be a business in itself and still requires all the things that you have learned and had to do, whether you were running Diverse Supplier Development Corporation or a consulting business itself. Is that not true?
It is. It's a business like anything else. And so my background starting businesses really came in well. It's just the business of our business is helping other businesses versus we're heating and air conditioning or whatever else. So we're service-based business.
I just want you to tease it out because I know sometimes people hear, oh, consultant, that just means I'm going to just do this. But I think a lot of veterans like myself that start, life coach, I just get to talk to people. I had no concept when I started this part because I've had businesses since I was 9 years old. I've had actual like steak shop, candy stores and different things. But I thought that when I did this part, it would just be a walk in the park. I just get to talk to people. And I did not account for all the things that doing business requires, whether you're a life coach or you're a store owner. You still have to do the basics, which is your taxes, your bookkeeping, your marketing, your sales, your calls to action. They don't go away just because you change the title or don't have a building.
Exactly.
You have talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, you have the business of your business, whatever your product and service is. But every business is also a business that has to be run like a business with all the things you mentioned. You need to know accounting and hiring people and sales and marketing and all the other aspects of running a business. And most business owners wind up doing 20% of the business, and then they spend the rest of their time in the business trying to run it as a business, regardless of their product and service. And that can be tough. Some companies actually wind up selling to someone else who does all the back office business stuff so they can focus on the business of the business because that's what they want. Right. You know, I'm a child psychologist, but now I have my own practice. I spend 10% of my time doing the business, which I really love. So now I'm going to sell to somebody else so they can do all the business stuff and I can do what I love doing. And that is my product or service.
That is cool. I like that. Well, I want to say thank you so much for sharing about your business and your experiences that as a business owner. Now I'm going to put you on a hot seat because people need to get to know who you are. Are you ready?
Certainly. Yes.
Okay, here's good. What is something you do differently than most people?
I work a lot. I follow through all the time. And I think a lot of people, that's where they drop the ball. They don't understand how much it takes. As a seller of a product and service, you have to chase the buyers. 95% of the business you will get is because you follow up with people and you be professionally persistent, and people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And you have to have all three. They have to know who you are and what you do. They have to like you, so you have to be personable. Sometimes that's a challenge for us vets, especially those who retired after 40 some years. You used to barking orders at people. That doesn't work in the private sector space. So it's being known, liked, and trusted. And that means you do what you say and say what you do. And you professionally persist. Show people you want to do business with them as much as you want them. And as sellers, that's your responsibility. You like go until somebody says yes or says, leave me the heck alone. You're such a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I love that. Chase the buyers. I'm going to make a note of that when I come back to that later on. Chase the buyers. Okay. What is one of your greatest motivators in the business that you do right now?
Creating opportunities for veterans that we didn't have before that we should have. That's what drives me, and helping those businesses grow in a big way.
Okay. What is one thing life is teaching you right now?
Hard work and persistence pays off.
Okay. How would you like to be remembered?
As always, having tried to do the right thing.
Okay. That's a good one. What are people usually surprised to find out about you?
Good question. Depends on who you ask. I'm a golfer, but not a very good one, like most people. I'm very passionate about what I do. And I care for people. And I think that's really important. Treat everybody with respect and dignity because we all deserve it. Regardless of your station in life, there's no excuse to treat people poorly.
Now, here may be a surprise to you, but we've had several interactions, and I would not have been surprised to discover that you are passionate about what you do, because you have been very passionate about your desire to help veterans and to help people in general. And you are one of those people that I consider a servant leader who definitely takes the opportunity to not just serve people, but to help people become better versions of themselves. That's my impression of you. So I'm not surprised by that at all. So you might want to take that one off your list. Just saying.
And I would say the same for you, Brenda, too. I've been impressed with your background and what you do as well. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Here's your final hot seat question. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for all the opportunities I have and have had. As I look back on my career, all the different businesses I've been involved in, I've got to do some amazing things. Everything from putting computers together to big meeting, sales and marketing and all that stuff. And now the opportunity to help fellow vets. I look back and there's struggles, absolutely, with companies and things happen, but I've had an amazing opportunity to do a lot of things.
That's really cool. Tell me, how do people get in touch with you? And I'll make sure I put it below in the description for those who hear this or listen on the replay. What is your website or email that people can find you at?
Okay, so the website is DSDC for Diverse Supplier Development Corp Pro.com. So dsdcpro.com. My email address is info@dsdcpro.com.
That's very easy. We're going to put that in the description so people can find you. Paul, tell me, how is what you're currently doing helping you live your best life now?
It's allowing me to do the thing that's important to me, and that's helping others.
That's way cool. I'm so excited you came to join me. I can't wait for the book to come out and people to find out even more about you. Do you have any advice for another veteran that may be thinking about starting their business?
First, I would say, don't do it.
Really?
And here's why.
Okay.
There are three options for you if you want to get into business. Now, as we talked earlier, veterans are really inclined to go into business.
Yes.
We deal with veterans all the time, go into the military, get out, maybe defense contract, but we all wind up starting businesses because we're driven to that. I just look at the stats. So as I mentioned earlier, startups have about a 75+% failure rate long-term, meaning 7 to 10 years. If you want to get into a more successful business, franchises, and I don't sell franchises, so I don't have a dog in that fight, but they're 80 to 85% successful because they've got a proven product or service. You've got tremendous support. You got the support of franchisor. They've already figured out all the things that it take you years to figure out. Right. A lot of veterans, oh yes, there's an upfront fee, but again, franchises give discounts. And I always challenge them to say, if there's a franchise that you want, that does what you want, seriously look at it, because if you try to duplicate what you can do from day one with a franchise in terms of hitting the ground running versus 6, 12, 18, 24 months trying to get to the same position you could start day one, you're going to waste more time and money and opportunity cost trying to duplicate what they've already built. So that's my first thing, is look at a franchise. Secondarily, look at an existing business. Now, everything is pros and cons in life, right? An existing business has a proven concept. They've got customers. They may have all the tools and resources you need and people. So that leapfrogs you into a business. Now that's downside. And then I say, if all else fails and you still want to start your own, go in eyes wide open, understand it's going to be the hardest thing you ever did. You'll work harder for yourself than anybody else. Get the help and support you need to find the blind spots and fill them.
There you go. With that, Paul, thank you for being on Talk to Me. I hope you'll come back again later on when we're doing the business panel so we can get the value of your wisdom. This has been Talk to Me. And for those of you that listen, you know the deal right now. It is the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely and choose to check out Paul and see what he's doing over there at Diverse Supplier Development Corporation. Be blessed.